Good morning. Welcome to the Star Spangled Sit Down. I am your host, Bobby Allison Jr., the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston. We have a very, very special program for you this morning. Today is a military appreciation edition of the Star Spangled Sit Down in recognition of the 246th anniversary of the founding of the U.S. Marine Corps today, and also Veterans Day tomorrow. So we are very, very happy to be joined by three special guests, starting with Lieutenant Commander Vanessa Sonicson, Captain Matthew Larkin, and Staff Sergeant Jason LeCount. Staff Sergeant LeCount has been in the U.S. Marine Corps for 18 years and is currently the Defense Attaché Office Operations Coordinator. He's been deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, and spent 5 years living in Okinawa, Japan. He has a bachelor's degree in game art development. Captain Larkin is a bilateral affairs officer and a District of Columbia Army National Guard officer since 2007. His service includes company command of the HHD 372nd Military Police Battalion. He has a master's in international politics from the American University in Washington, D.C. Lieutenant Commander Sonicson is the Deputy Security Cooperation Officer and Senior Navy Representative at the Embassy. She joined the Navy in 2010 and has been stationed in Norfolk, District of Columbia, Washington State, California, and of course here in Jamaica. She has multiple bachelor's degrees in finance and multinational business operations from the Florida State University. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the show, the Sit Down.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Today, the Marines celebrated their anniversary with a cake cutting ceremony. Staff Sergeant LeCount, can you tell us a little bit about what the symbolism is with the cake cutting? First off, happy birthday.
Thank you.
To the Marines. Tell us a little bit about the ceremony, and then I think we have a clip actually from this morning.
So the Marine Corps is steeped in tradition, and it's an integral part of who we are. It's one of the things that outside the birthday that we regularly look back to Marines in the past and the accomplishments that they've made. The cake cutting ceremony and the birthday celebration overall is something that was started by the 13th Commandant, Commandant Lejeune, and it was an opportunity to take this tradition that we hold really dear and really formalize it and have it be something that, although the birthday was being celebrated prior to that, it was something that really codified it as something that Marines would be doing every single year to remember the Marines that came before us and the Marines that will be, going forward in the future.
Awesome. Now let's take a look at our clip that we have from this morning's cake cutting ceremony.
Signifying trust and confidence in those who will carry on our very important tradition. youngest Marine present is Lance Corporal Lance Corporal Sonicson, enlisted in the Marine Corps on September 28, 2020. In Marine Corps, recruiting before sending out California, and was born on September 1st, 2003. Happy birthday, Marines.
Well, that was a fantastic look of the cake cutting ceremony from this morning. We actually have some cake that's staring at me off camera right now. I won't tell you who, but one of us actually already ate their slice of cake. So at the end, I guess we'll find out who doesn't have their slice. That was fantastic. So today we're talking about military service. We actually have a comment from the audience. I'm going to pull up. This is Roshane Williams. She says, "These officers are so neat. Happy birthday, Marines." Thank you, Roshane, for watching. If you have comments at home, please drop in your comments, drop in your questions. We might pull them up during the show. So we're talking about career military service, and we wanted to discuss your careers. So I have a question for each of you, and we'll start with Lieutenant Commander Sonicson. Why did you decide to join the military?
So I was born on Pearl Harbor Day, which happens to be a pretty significant day for the U.S. military, especially for the U.S. Navy. And I felt some type of calling, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I decided pretty early on that this was going to be my career.
Awesome. And what about you, Captain Larkin?
Well, relatively speaking, I decided to join the military late in life. I thought about it after high school, but for one reason or another, didn't do it. Different choices, different opportunities. But fast forward to the early 2000s, I was living in Washington, D.C. In my mid-30s. And just in that environment, being around people who were serving, being in D.C. with so many reminders of people in our nation's history who have served, I realized that if I ever wanted to do it, this was the time to do it. So I enlisted in the D.C. Army National Guard. And I've been proud to wear the uniform ever since.
Well, thank you. Staff Sergeant McCount, what about you?
Really, since I was real young. I remember watching clips of Desert Storm when I was a kid, and even when I was 5, I had a Marine Corps jumpsuit as pajamas.
Really?
And a giant plastic C-130.
You didn't bring us a photo of that.
I didn't bring you a photo of that. My mom has it somewhere, I'm sure, hidden in a photo book. And so as I got older and I contemplated it being beyond just that's so cool, the military members, and watching them do what they did, and think about what my country had provided for me and the desire to give something back.
Well, thank you all for your service today. Thank you for everyone who's served. We want to talk a little bit about how a lot of folks might think when they think of the military, the armed forces, that it's just combat. But of course, there's a lot more to military service than just combat or the type of stuff that you might see in TV and in movies. Especially here in Jamaica, our military liaison office provides aid to the Jamaican Defense Force and training and some other opportunities. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you guys have done kind of in your career, some interesting things you've done while as a part of your military service. And starting with you, Staff Sergeant McCount, you recently went to Haiti to provide aid after the earthquake. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. I was actually just prior to the earthquake when there was a lot of unrest after the assassination of the sitting president. And while I was there, the earthquake struck. And that caused me to extend my time there, because at that point in time, we were trying to coordinate and exercise a lot of different assets into the island to provide assistance, a lot of medical assistance, a lot of, a lot of aircraft coming in and out that I was heavily involved in orchestrating and clearing so that people could gain medical supplies, medical aid, as well as food and water.
Awesome. So aside from that type of aid, there's something called the National Guard. Moving on to Captain Larkin. This is like, even in the U.S., the idea of the National Guard is like a nebulous, what is that? What does it mean to do the National Guard? And what does it mean to be part of a state National Guard? Tell us a little bit about what the National Guard is in your experience.
The National Guard, each of the states, territories, and District of Columbia have a National Guard. And they're there to support the nation in times of need and to support their local communities. So since I became a military police officer, National Guard, I've worked during 4th of July celebrations on the National Mall, national special security events with foreign dignitaries visiting, responses to hurricanes that are taking place. Most recently, we supported the District of Columbia during their COVID-19 response operations. So it's just a variety of different things that the Guard is there for.
Awesome. And you mentioned that you joined a little bit later in life than most. We actually have a photo of you with your dad on your last day of boot camp. Let's pull up the photo. So tell us a little bit, how old were you, by the way, in your last day of boot camp?
I was 35 years old when.
So that was like a year or two ago?
Well, the average age, I think, was like in my platoon was just under 21.
Did they joke with you? Did they say anything?
I was definitely the old man.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Tell us about boot camp. What is that like?
Boot camp is, I don't know if you can ever really prepare for it. Yeah, I mean, you hear so many stories about it, and they test you mentally, physically, emotionally. So I was relieved and excited when I finished.
You completed it. And there you go. We got a photo of your dad. And speaking of family, Sergeant LeCount, your wife Aisha is a veteran. Is that right?
Yes.
You guys met during one of your early tours?
Yeah, it's actually my first tour into Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah.
I'd been there for about a year when she was stationed there as well. She was actually my IT personnel for the computers that I would regularly break. And
That's weird because you're a game art developer.
yeah.
It seems like you would be good at computers.
Yeah, I'm good at using them and to the point of breaking them, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great story. Okay. Lieutenant Commander Sonicson, you've had some cool moments in your career. You've spent some time on submarines. How long are you down there? And what is it like living and existing underwater?
Okay, so as a former supply officer, you're limited with all deployments, right? Surface ship or submarine by the amount of food you can carry.
Okay.
Okay. The boat that I was on, the USS Ohio, is about as old as I am, and we regularly had to pull back into port to fix some component that was broken. So as far as how long we're out, I mean, it could be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks to maybe 3 months, but it depends on the class of submarine that you're on, right? The big ones, the boomers, those not go on extended deployments like the fast attacks, which can go out for 6 months or longer.
So does that mean that they're underwater that entire time?
Nope.
Or do you ever come up for air?
We have to come up for air.
Okay.
We have to come up to get email. Very important. We have to come up to get food,
Yeah.
right? So yes, we're not underwater for a full 3 months or 6 months.
Tell us about the USS Bainbridge. You did some duty on that. What was that experience?
The Bainbridge is a U.S. Navy destroyer, home ported in Norfolk, Virginia. That was my first operational tour. So I was the dispersing officer. But in addition to that, you can there are collateral duties that you can volunteer for depending on what your focus is, what you're good at. I happen to be the visit, board, search, and seizure boarding officer. So I had a team of guys and in support of maritime interdiction operations, freedom of the seas, anti-piracy operations. We would conduct boardings regularly off the coast of Africa. Cool.
So I want to talk a little bit about folks. You mentioned, why you joined you all mentioned why you joined the military. If there's any advice that you might give to a Jamaican or an American looking to join the military, what advice would you give them? And I'm going to start with Captain Larkin, who, of course, joined in his 30s.
Make sure you're doing some push-ups, and yeah, I think you just want to always be trying to improve yourself. And having confidence in yourself ultimately that you can do it.
Absolutely. I assume there are probably times during boot camp when you thought you might not have been able to do it, and then you finished.
Exactly. And the great thing about it is, I think being part of the military, you realize you're in it with other people, and you really form some close bonds, and together is how I got through it.
What about you?
So Captain Larkin mentioned that there wasn't really a way to prepare for boot camp. Surprisingly, I felt very prepared. I had a pretty strong yoga practice.
Nice.
And at boot camp, I got put on my face for extended periods of time in a plank position. And yeah, I would say yoga was the key to getting through boot camp for me.
For our viewers out there, we actually do boot camp by the Marines here once a week, and Lieutenant Commander Sonicson was yelling at me because I wasn't able to hold. I was on her team, so to speak, and I was not able to hold the plank for more than like 10 seconds, and she would yell, "Get up, Bobby!" So that's great. And then what about you? What advice might you give?
Take advantage of, if you're to do it, if you're to join, if you're to go through the sort of struggles and the character building of whatever basic you join and you enter into the service, take advantage. There's so many opportunities in the military. That's how I got my degree. The military paid for it with tuition assistance. They covered the cost, and I was able to get it while I was in the Marine Corps. There's so many programs out there. There's so many educational opportunities. If you join, look into those things, and because they're going to work you. They're going to work you hard. So make sure that you're getting the benefits that come with that.
Now, all three of you are in different branches of the armed forces. Which branch is the best?
Navy.
Yeah. And National Guard.
National Guard.
Always ready.
Is that under the Army?
Army, National Guard.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
Army.
So we have Air Guard too, but
and then how do you guys, so there's several of y'all here at the embassy. You're obviously in different branches. Do you guys like rib each other? Do you guys joke with each other about?
We hate
who's
each
the
other. We don't
best?
get along at all.
Good.
Yeah, this was really difficult to get us to sit next to each other. This was a problem, but
This
I
is
think
true.
We have a very good team. We're pretty cohesive. Not too much conflict of personalities, which can happen from time to time in different commands. So no, we're very fortunate. We have an amazing boss, Lieutenant Colonel Ramsey.
Right.
So between our two offices, the military liaison office and then the defense attaché office, we're a pretty tight knit team.
All right. Well, we're getting low-ish on time, so we want to do some rapid fire questions for you all. And you actually haven't
Oh boy.
seen these questions. They're not that difficult, but okay. If you weren't, and I'm just going to point, if you weren't in the current branch of military, what other branch would you be in?
Air Force.
Marine.
Marines, but they turned me down.
Oh, that's great. Okay. We all are here in Jamaica. What is your favorite food to eat in Jamaica?
Curry goat.
What about you?
Here we go.
Devon House Patty curry goat.
Oh, very specific
Yeah.
pastry options.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay. And now what about your favorite place to visit in Jamaica?
Anywhere where there's a beach.
There's
Right on the water.
a lot of,
Yep.
a
Yep.
lot of that here.
If it's water, I'm good.
I've had to pick a beach, Treasure Beach. Just love it there.
Yes. Awesome.
Frenchman's Cove. I have two little babies, and the river that runs into the ocean is like their jam.
It's kind of difficult to get out there and get back sometimes from Frenchman's Cove. The drive is a little treacherous. Okay. How many push-ups can you do in 1 minute?
50-ish.
What about you?
Yeah, 50-ish.
Marines do pull-ups. We
Oh,
don't
nice.
push-ups. No,
You don't do push-ups.
I don't do pull-ups.
You know what? I would have been great in the Marines then. if you
Yeah.
don't have to do
We do have pull-ups, though.
Probably
That's
couldn't.
it's about
probably couldn't
20,
handle that.
22.
Okay. 22. I'm going to test you on next Thursday.
Okay, I'll be there. I'll
Fantastic.
be ready.
Okay. Last question. If you weren't in the military, what would be your dream job?
Something in the arts.
Okay. Well, game art, you just said game art development.
That's my, yeah. And truthfully, I love all the arts. So I paint, draw, 2D to 3D. I do it all. So anything in that would make me happy.
Cool. What about you, Captain Larkin?
Wow, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
You and I can paint sometime.
Okay.
But yeah, I would. A hobby of mine is painting.
Awesome.
Totally different avenue. I would own a metal fabrication shop.
Really?
Yep.
Do you just do that for
I
a hobby
could-
right now?
No, that,
You're not just
that wouldn't be a hobby. I wouldn't have the bandwidth.
yeah.
No, I learned to weld a few years ago, so I think that's the route I would go.
That's awesome. Well, listen, thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you again for your service to our country. Thank you all for joining us at home. Again, leave us some comments and let us know how we did. Give us some feedback. Join us next time. And I think we got some cake.
Some of us have cake.
Some of us have cake.
Some
Can I
of us
kiss yours?
Here, I'll share
Yeah.
with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Bobby, thanks so much for
Something's
having
okay.
us.
It was good.
It was good. It was good.
Thank you. And one of us is left out. Again, we won't mention who. But anyway, thank you all again for joining us and have a good day.